Hi there. Welcome to my channel. I'm so grateful to have you here. I always talk about hair, but before I do, I want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hope you have a gifted, blessed New Year. Now, let's get back to talking about hair. I love talking about hair. I talk about hair in several ways. One, the way you damage your hair, and then what to do to get out of the damage. We've got more to discuss, but we've learned a lot. That's why I'm considering the first of the year. I'm going to do a summary of the past videos. So, they're my first videos, so I want to make sure that they were clear, they were delivering enough information for you. So maybe we should go back and do a summary. We've learned a lot. However, a summary wouldn't hurt us, and it wouldn't take long to do it. So I'm thinking very seriously about starting that in January. As for now, though, I want you to know that you have to break your old hair habits. If you can break your old hair habits, then you can take your hair to the next level of hair wellness. It's important because there are people out there that are uh, thriving to do better with their hair. They need the information. They're starving for more information because they realize that their hair issues are not clearing up, and they're using great product. But how are you getting the best out of your product if you're not deep conditioning? So you need to deep condition with your product, and that way you can not only get your money's worth from your product, but you also will see the value in your product. If it doesn't work at this point, then you would say, hey, I know I gave it a good try, and I'm going to try something else, or I'm going to try another brand. It's hard when you just flip from product to product, and not knowing what we want, which we've talked about in the past, makes it where we're just plugging that product in the dark, so to speak. Just kind of reaching our hand out there and just grabbing it. And, they have us so product orientated now that we just tend to buy products thinking that it's the bottle. It's the bottle that's going to get you better. It's a conditioner that you're going to find, and it will be a treasure because it's going to take care of your hair problems. And then after a year or two, you find out that it didn't, and your hair is worse off. It didn't feel bad, so you're thinking that you're doing good. But in the end of a year, you total up that, hey, I didn't get really what I wanted, and I'm still having the hair problems. So, that's why we need to learn to break our old hair habits, learn how to use our scientific conditioning, and not only get the best out of our product, but also see some results out of our product. And so I find that after working 35 years in damaged hair, I find that clients lack the resilience or the persistence after they don't get any results, or don't get the results they want. Then they just drift from one product to another. So they need to stay on top of their product and use it correctly, see if it's quality product, or if it's the product you need. Sometimes it's a good product, but it's not designed to do what you want it to do. You thought it did because you just read a label. So that's why a lot of stylists are dependent on to recommend product. And we do to a certain point. We go out and search for a good product, and we search for the company, and we too try to read the information and labels, and then we have to make a decide as a professional. We have to decide what product we want to use. And a lot of times it makes it easier for a client to choose a product if we could, sort of help them with that. However, the problem here is that still the results are not coming up. So when you don't get the results from professional products, you don't get the results for over-the-counter products, then where do you go? What do you do? It's time to change. We just need to change the way we consider our hair. Know how your hair is damaged. Know why it's damaged. Know how to condition to get away from that damage. This is the only way we're going to take our hair to the next hair level of wellness. I like to change your bad habits. I know that's going to take time. However, it can happen, and it can also be sooner than you think. Once you start being persistent and learning about what to look for, knowing that this is damaging your hair and you've been doing it for years and you're going to stop, knowing that you have something to do, like the deep heat conditioning. That's important to get underneath your belt and work it into your lifestyle. Once you start doing that, then you start controlling your damage. Deep conditioning controls damage. We're not conditioning from the outside in. We're doing inside out. We have to understand that when you apply cold product on your hair, it's got to get through anywhere from 10 to 17 layers of protein. Your one strand of hair is 10 to 17 layers, depending on nationality and hair type and structure. But basically, all hair is made similar to a robe. So if you're trying to get inside the robe, then you have to deep condition to open up the hair shaft to get the deep conditioners deep into your hair shaft so you can start changing your moisture levels, your protein levels. So we've done a lot of talk about protein, moisture, brushing. Brushing is always fun because you guys hate it. But when we start knowing that not too many people own a bristle brush. So if you don't have a bristle brush, then you're not exercising your scalp. So in time, that will take a toll on your body or on your scalp. And so it's just like your body. If you don't exercise every day, you're deteriorating. So that's the way it is with your hair. I want to let this channel be a place where you can find peace with your hair and conditioning, where you can say, I know I'm protecting it from the sun. I know I'm not over damaging it with my heating tools. I see progress in getting rid of the hair problems that I didn't like. So let's get there. Let's do that. Because not only will it take you to the next level of wellness, hair wellness, but it will also help you have peace with your hair. And you have a goal now to set, saying that I'm going to not have dryness in 3 to 4 months. And I'm going to stay on top of my moisturizing conditioning. And I'm going to watch the damage that I present, but also my body. You have to remember your hair is connected to your body. And so therefore, if your body's ill, then you could have other issues with your hair. So it's just good to know where your hair damage is coming from. So that way you know how to ease the damage. So, or let up on the damage or stabilize the damage. We need to at least do that. So letting you know that education is really important, because the more knowledge you have, the more power you have. So have hair knowledge and understand what you can do to take care of your hair to your best ability. I want to thank you for sending your email questions to ditahair911@gmail.com. I really appreciate it. I really do. But the big question is when two or more questions come in asking the same question. I often get that a lot. So the big question for the day is, how long does it take to have hair wellness? Wow, that's an important question. It depends on you and your diligence. If you are ready to put it in your program and really put it in your lifestyle, and then also pay attention that your health needs are considered first. So if you have diabetes, lupus, there's all sorts of other terminal or diseases that are real strong, or should we say high maintenance. And so, yes, it can affect your hair. However, it doesn't have to have your hair shedding. Being on medication on every day, that goes through your hair. And at the end of 6 years, it's still in your hair. So we have to understand that hair wellness is something that we thrive for. We put it in our lifestyle, and it becomes our hair habits. And that way, your hair is not like, well, let's put it this way. Your body recuperates faster than your hair. So you have to have time. Think of your hair as a garden. Every spring, it will come back stronger if you did right with the first time. See how that works. So when you do right with the, with the first conditioners, and then you start conditioning thereafter, you'll see your 3 months of conditioning, then you'll see your 6 months of conditioning, and then that tells how long it's going to take, basically, to get you back to hair wellness. Hair wellness is something that we do in our lifestyle. It's not like you have a target goal, like a place you go to the restaurant or you go to the grocery store and there you are. That's not how it is here. When you're working with your damaged hair, you have to work with what you've got. So let's say you've damaged it severely with chemicals. Well, that's going to take time to recuperate because you're looking at stabilizing that damage until the new growth can come out. And of course, you're looking at that new growth and not knowing any damage. So it won't know moisture loss. It won't know sun damage. It won't know protein loss because you're taking care of that on a high maintenance. And when I say high, don't get scared because it doesn't mean it takes a lot. It just means that you have to be diligent about changing your hair ways or your hair habits. And that's easier said than done. It may take you a few months to say, all right, I know the heat cap this week. I already have it in my schedule. So that is a big part of hair wellness goals. And so how long does it take to get hair wellness? Well, I don't know how long your hair is. The shorter your hair, of course, you can get hair wellness really quick because you can condition and stabilize the short hair. And then, of course, as it grows out, you are able to maintain the healthiness of it and lower damage. So therefore, you're doing better, and changing as fast as you can. How fast do you change? That depends on how damaged you are. Here again, if you've chemically treated your hair wrong, then of course conditioning and stabilizing will take a little longer than usual. But it should happen. You should see results immediately. In other words, when you start doing your deep conditioning, you'll already see changes. And those changes are good for you because you're like, hey, I love it. I love having the softness and the curl and the moisture, and I love seeing length. So you should be able to see changes the whole time. However, I think that you reach hair wellness, if you just had to ask me, I think you reach it within the first couple of months because you can stabilize your damage within 2 months, right? You can stabilize it. That's different than curing it. Okay, hair is a dead appendage. So there's only so much we can cure. But man-made products have been great. They have a lot of money. It's billions of dollars in the industry being spent. So there's not always a bad product on the market as it is the product is not for you. Understanding your hair problems. A lot of times, when hair problems become issues with time, then people tend to not want to take the time to get their hair back to normal. They just would prefer to say, hey, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to condition when I can, and I'm going to let that go. Then you're going to see slower process. But when you see someone saying, I'm out of town, but I have my heat conditioning with me, then you know that it's in their lifestyle and they're aware of their damage. See, people lose sight of what their damage is. And because damaged hair is like a layer of onions, right? The layers in an onion. So you have to kind of peel back and say, how did I get in this issue? Was it swimming too much? Was it chemically treating too much? So when you get into that part of it, of course, it's a little bit easier to understand your damage, but sometimes people don't want to accept it. I've had clients go, I am not dehydrated. And it's like, yes, your hair is, and you probably are too, because your body being dehydrated does affect your hair. So for them to accept that they don't drink enough water because they don't like it, here again, that's going to take them slower to adjust. So knowing your hair damage and understanding it and knowing that I need to do this until I get to a different stage. So it's a transition that hair wellness creates, because you have to leave your old habits and you'll see your old hair with all those old habits disappear. And so that can stabilize within 2 months, but to see it disappear and to have a healthy head of hair, um, well, it could be as short as a year. So I like to say, considering, okay, what your hair damage is and how willing you are to change and understand your hair damage, it could take anywhere from 2 months to a year. I know. It doesn't sound like it's very short, but it goes by so fast. You'd be surprised. The phenomenal hair clients were great at change, and I love them for that. They changed their hair habits, and they were willing to do the conditioning, and they found out a lot about their hair. And in the end, I had more clients that were healthy, or should we say, healthy is such a loose word in cosmetology, because anytime they want to say something, oh, healthy. Well, what is healthy? If I don't really know how my hair lives, if I don't really know how I'm damaging it, how do I know how healthy it is? So I like to say hair wellness, because that's what it really is. It's hair being stable and working and performing. But because it's a dead appendage, we do have restrictions. And let's see what else I have down here. Routine. We talked about routine with your hair habits, like brushing. You know, you start out and you've got to do a brush in the morning and a brush in the evening. And now it's sore and tender, and you feel, like, oh no, should I still keep brushing? Yes, you should still keep brushing, but that's a transition. Your scalp will eventually stop being tender, and it will enjoy the exercise and basically ask you to brush it. It'll scalp will say, oh, I need to be brushed. I'm itchy. So, yeah, so the routine and understanding your damage, all these things contribute to you having a fast recuperation time. Your hair questions, let's see, it says your hair's conditioners must be what you need to correct hair problems. Very much so. I'm glad I put that in the notes. Another thing about when you start going into damaged hair or working with your damaged hair, you have to understand that not only I'm trying to figure out how to say this because I don't want to get it misunderstood. Your products have to be what you need. So let's say you pick a product and it says, I'm going to give you moisture. And the product only has panthenol in it. Well, panthenol is not a big moisturizer. Peppermint is your best moisturizer. Now, you can't use the oil because, of course, it is the oil creates a problem with the scalp, and then also peppermint oil is not hydrolyzed to get into the hair shaft. So it has to be hydrolyzed by the company. So I think that's the best way to say it. So peppermint is your best oil to get moisture from, but you also need a company that knows that and does that for you. And there are companies out there that does that. I don't like talking too much about product. People always ask me about product. And remember, I am a cosmetologist. The companies talk to us all the time about product because they know that you will trust our product if we recommend it. So clients are always referring to, well, what product? It's not in the product, guys. It's in your hair habits. It's in your routine. How adjusted or how ready are you to recognize your hair damage and understand what caused it, and then to set up a routine or a target, a goal to get that damage cleared up. So knowledge is important. Hair knowledge is important, but it's also knowing that your product is delivering what it says. So maybe you don't have a bad hair problem, a hair moisture loss, so panthenol will be enough moisture to pick you back up. Here again, you have to know your hair. You have to understand your hair. Therefore, you need more knowledge to have more power. Hair knowledge is power, and that means you have the power to control damaged hair. And that's what I think really is bad, with the system now, is that one, you think it's in a bottle. You don't think it's you. And then two, you're picking products in the dark. So not understanding your damage makes you pick the wrong product. And then, of course, you don't have the results you want. So we're going to try to clear that up on this channel so that you are able to take control and have a stable um, hair wellness. The phenomenal hair clients were great at that. And when they achieved it, they were so happy. They said they hadn't enjoyed their hair that much since they were kids. So you have to understand, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and you feel as if I control my hair damage. Email question 1. How do I take care of my hair after wearing braids? Now that's serious damage. Braids do not allow you to deep condition. It doesn't allow you to monitor your hair. And without monitoring your hair and brushing and deep conditioning, your hair health will fail. So when you come out of braids, here again, let's think conditioning, deep conditioning, over and over again. Deep condition, brush, brush. And yes, as braids come out, at first the hair may be long, but of course that hair was not grown in with monitoring. It wasn't grown in with moisture, protection from the sun. Braids do not protect your scalp or your hair from the sun. So you would probably have sun damage. You'd probably have dehydration. So this is condition, condition. Get with the moisturizer first, and then I want you to follow up a little bit later with your protein repair, and make sure it's a good repair product, meaning that it says it repairs after perms or chemical treatments. And that's where you're going to look for with your moisture. You want deep, strong moisture. So if the label says, 2 times more moisture or 24 hours of more moisture, that's your product, right? All right. So yes, braids are hard to work because here again, your reaching hair wellness is going to be a little bit longer because your scalp has got to be activated, or it has to be exercised. So it's like PT for your scalp. And then of course the deep conditioning has to take place. So you've got to kind of got everything on your plate. The deep conditioning plus the brushing and the monitoring. It's a lot, but you can do it. You can do it. And just get out of the habit. The problem with braids too, I found, is that people get out of touch with their hair. They get out of touch with their hair. They tend not to care for it as much because they hadn't had to worry about it. They've had braids. So all they had to do was sort of maintain those braids, and that was easy and quick. And that's one of the beauty of braids. They look great, and then of course they give you the length you want, like the lace fronts, like wigs do. And then of course they give you the color you may want. So here again, braids are fun. So when you come out of fun though, you have to realize that you got to go back to school. So in other words, your routine now will be a little bit more strict with the conditioning. Don't over shampoo. Make sure you don't have a coating shampoo. But sometimes if they say makes your hair feel soft and makes your hair feel great, then maybe they've got something in there so you can't feel it. And so you need to feel your hair just as much as you need to see it. You need to watch how it absorbs product and how much product it wants to absorb. Hair is like a sponge, okay? Those cuticle layers absorb. And so we need to make sure that you get amount of conditioning that you need. So you would be conditioning every 3 days until you saw a change. And then, of course, deep conditioning once a week. And then you would graduate to 2 weeks and 3 weeks as your hair needed it. But you would always be at least once a month conditioning with deep conditioners. So I hope that you write me again and answer me some more questions, because I don't know what all problems that you're having with your hair. You just said that, how do I condition after braids? Very strongly. And remember, you have to brush. You'll see, your hair come out, but that hair was already coming out. You cannot pull out a hair follicle that's attached and a hair follicle that is strong. So as long as you stick to your deep conditioning, your brushing, you should be able to bring back your hairline. You should be able to stop and stabilize your hair. Don't get scared of the breakage, because remember, what was going to break, it was going to break. It's not like you could have done anything faster. You didn't know to. So don't beat up on yourself too much, but remember, you had fun. Now it's time to get back to some discipline and routine, healthy hair habits. Second email question. I use a lot of oils and mousse and hairsprays to hold my style. What conditioning do I need? Well, it depends on your styling products. Mousse generally is drying. I don't know how dehydrated you are. I don't know where you work. If, for instance, if you're working in the sun, if you work outside, that's a different story. So when I say conditioning would really not, you wouldn't judge your conditioning by your styling products. You judge your conditioning by your hair and what it's doing. So if it's frizzy and dull, then it doesn't have enough moisture and you need to moisturize it. If it feels limp and can't hold a curl, and that's protein. So here again, I would deep condition all the time, and I would use a mixture of moisture and protein. Third email question. I use hair dryers after, with a thin plastic cap to condition my hair. Okay, so she used a hair dryer rather than a deep conditioning insulated cap. Here again, you have 10 to 17 cuticle layers. So that's that hair strand that we talked about. I think I have a picture here. We talked about that. Okay, there we go. We talked about let me see if I get it in there. All right, I got it in there. All right, I think it goes this way. There we go. All right, see how compact that cuticle is? That's one hair strand, and it's magnified 1,000 times. So what we see is like a roof structure. And so usually that roof structure, after it gets dry, looks like this. So if the structure is like that, then of course you're feeling dry, brittle, and can't hold a lot of product because it's open. But if this is not all the layers, you have 10 to 17. So these are probably her first 7 layers. However, my point is this. When you have layers, you have to open them up. You have to open up your cuticle layers so that you can get the deep conditioning in. It's almost like softening the protein. So it's like a steamed carrot. It still has its form, but it's soft. It's still hard when it dries, but it's soft. So after you insulate, do a deep conditioning with insulated cap, it is swelled up to the point that you can get stuff inside it. If you're not using a heat cap, then you're not getting past all the layers. If you can see, even if you're loose, you still have a lot of layers. You still have 10 to 17 layers. The cold conditioners and hair dryers are only going to penetrate so much. So I doubt it if you're going to get the deep conditioning that you need without the heat. That was one of the things that the phenomenal hair clients and I went through for the first few years. And we just thought, well, the product says, though, that it doesn't need heat, that it penetrates cuticle. However, we found that it did not penetrate the cuticle to the point that you could get in the middle. So that's called your matrix. And when you go to the matrix in the middle of the hair strand, it needs to have stabilization, moisture, and protein. So we need to get your conditioners past the layers. At least get them into the deep layers of the cuticle. Wouldn't that be great? Sounds like a better conditioner, doesn't it? So remember, the hair dryer is just going to do minimum conditioning. If your damage or dehydration is strong, I call it a level 3 dehydration. When you're dehydrated, then of course it's going to take you more heat and more insulation to help that conditioner. I mean, there's so much heat and insulation in the heat cap. It relaxes your muscles in your scalp. So it's really comforting to do the deep conditioning. I think all the phenomenal hair clients love their heat capping. They did not miss it. It was became a part of their lifestyle, and they knew why, and it changed things. So they always keep that in their home maintenance. So I found that, yes, please understand, hair dryers can only condition so much. Third email question, that was it. Okay, wow, we're getting through these questions quick. Well, that's good. I won't bore you. Hair facts. I love hair facts because this is something you can put in your hair folder. And this hair folder is for you to refer back to so that you can develop your healthy hair habits. I found, or the phenomenal hair clients insisted on them having a hair folder. They said that they could not remember a lot of things. And so when they go back to their hair folder, they go, oh, that's how I should be shampooing. Oh, that's how I should be using moisture. So it really helped give them support during their transition of changing their old hair habits. So I want you to understand that, remember we talked about understanding your damage. So when you are with your folder and you can go back, you understand your damage a little bit better. So we needed to talk about, I'm looking at my paperwork here, and it says when your hair has no protein. I think we've talked about protein before, but I think it's always good to go back over it. I don't think we put it in hair facts, so I'll have to check that. Now, see, that's what we need to do in January, kind of go back over everything, because these are my first videos. Thank you for bearing with me during this time of learning. I appreciate that. But yes, when your hair does not have protein, it's dull, limp, difficult to hold a curl, stringy, lack of elasticity, not full and bouncy. Remember, protein goes hand in hand with moisture. So if you get too low on moisture for too long, it affects your protein. If you're real up on protein, I very seldom find people high on, like their hair has more protein than moisture. It's usually moisture, and then that gets them into protein problems. So yeah, the hair has to have protein and moisture, and they have to be in balance. And I forgot, I'll look that up to make sure, but I think it's like 75% moisture your hair strand holds. But I'll look it up and make sure I come back and comment on that when I check it. I don't like commenting on things that I haven't gone back to my research or I haven't gone back to professional information. So what we want to do is hair, we want to look at the signs of no protein. So you'd have breakage, probably on the ends first. They would be very bad. Then you could have it in your scalp. It's kind of weaved in. So the breakage starts to show up in short breakage and long breakage close to the scalp. It says hair breaks, will not lay down, breakage close to scalp. This is for all hair types and climates. I know a lot of times people live in moisturizing climate, and they'll tell me all the time, oh, well, I live in moisture. But you still have a dryness problem. Your hair can only absorb, and we'll talk about that later, but hair has acid mantle, and it also has a natural oil. Every hair follicle has a nerve, a muscle, and a hair oil, well, should we say oil sac that's hooked to the hair follicle. So that oil comes out to the hair, and that's why it's good to brush your hair with a bristle brush so that it will, a boar bristle brush, I think they used to call them, and it would drag the natural oils throughout the hair. That oil does play a part on how often you can attract moisture from the air. So if your oil is missing or you're very dehydrated, then you might not have that ability. So we have to understand that our hair oil is just as important as far as on our scalp. The hair oil from our scalp is important in every climate, and every circumstances. Whether you're living in a dry climate like Arizona or a moisturizing climate like Texas. You have to understand how hair absorbs moisture, how it loses moisture, and then how it's left with too much protein. Here again, we're going to cover that on the channel. Hair feels stiff, hard to touch, hard to the touch. So you feel your hair and it feels like straw. It's not soft and nice. It's stiff, frizzy, and the ends lack um, definition. So in other words, I don't have my hair down today. I have it all pulled up. But, oh, we can talk to my lady here. Here we go. Hi, little lady. I can't grab her real fast. Let's see if we can grab you. All right, here we go. Yeah, you'll lose your shoes. All right, so the ends. So your ends, her ends, as you can see, they have definition. There's no frizzy, and you can see the little layer cut she has. So see, it's really pretty. So, but when you have dehydration and and the protein's low, then what you'll find is that these will be all frizzy, and they won't have definition. You can't see the cut. You can't see the haircut. All you see is messed up ends. So, so that's what I'm talking about with lack of protein. So here again, you have these signs, then you need a protein conditioner. I generally say mix the protein with the moisture conditioner because you don't want to have too much protein and you condition with the protein conditioner. That might not work as well. So let's start off with moisture conditioners only, and then eventually add in your protein. So if you are really having all of these symptoms, then I would start out with protein and moisture, using a little bit more protein than moisture. If you have some of these symptoms, start out with half and half moisture, half protein. So here again, it's important to remember that your moisture level depends a lot on your protein level. All right? That's good hair facts. I love it. All right, something you can start today to change your hair day. Have a better hair day. I want to thank you for staying. Please like and share with someone who might need the hair service or might need help or might need some peace with their conditioning. It is free to subscribe. I hope you have learned something today. Let's give damaged hair a voice. We need to do that. I think the phenomenal hair clients want damaged hair to have a voice. Knowing that you're at home and you have all these products at your access, but nothing is working. What do I do? Where do I go? All right? It's hard because not too many hairstylists have majored as I have for the last 35 years. So they don't understand conditioning as well as I do. And that's because I've seen a lot. My clientele taught me a lot, and my research was very thorough. So push the like button and the notification button to let you know when I post. I try to post on Fridays, but I will post. And the notification button will help you with that. Understanding your habits at home will help you stabilize your hair damage and help you not go to hair damage again. After I work with people, they never go back to the same level of hair damage because they have more knowledge. And as long as they have that, you can fend for yourself, right? Sometimes, right? Not saying that you don't need me. But I thank you so much for coming today. And here again, thank you for changing your hair habits. Now, go have a better hair day. Happy, merry holidays. Thank you. Bye-bye.